did this, I think, a couple months ago. And I literally was like, to my audience, I was like, do you realize I have 30,000 people basically on Twitter and my newsletter who are creative entrepreneurs who follow my stuff and the podcast and whatever. I was like, I don't know if you realize this, but there are 10 different ways you can get in front of my audience. To use your term, you can borrow my audience pretty much for free. I think one of them is paid. The rest are all basically free. And I was like, I don't know if you guys have thought about it or paying attention, but I'm giving you, here are the 10 ways. And anyone who's listening to this, here are the 10 ways that you can reach my audience. Number one, you can quote tweet my tweets. Then I will almost always retweet it. Super simple. People read, and I've now started to, people retweet my tweets without the quote tweet. I can't do anything with that. I can't put you in front of my audience if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I've now actually started messaging people when they retweet and say, hey, thanks so much. But just so you know, in the future, if you do a quote tweet, it lets me share it and you can reach my audience. So side tip there, if you do use Twitter, you should always quote tweet. The second one is if you create something that my readers would find useful, a blog post, a video, whatever, send it to me. If I like it, if I think they'll like it, I'll feature it in my newsletter. I'll share it on Twitter. Easy way to get in front of my audience. If you find something valuable, I curate stuff in my newsletter all the time. So you didn't even have to create it. You could go, hey, I saw this video that was amazing. And if I think it's amazing and I share it in my newsletter, I'm going to say, hey, I got this from Matt with a link. The fourth one, you can submit questions to be a guest on this podcast, which I think, unlike most podcasts, I don't know many where literally anyone can come on if you have interesting enough questions. And by the way, anyone watching this, you can go to joshspector.com/questions to apply and submit your questions. But this is a perfect example, right? You're on here getting in front of these people at no cost. You're borrowing my audience as we speak. You can reply to my tweets or LinkedIn posts with something valuable. If it's good, I might share it. I might retweet it, whatever. I've had people send me copies of their book and say, hey, if you want to check it out. And I always say, like, look, I can't guarantee I'm going to do anything, but I have. I've had people send me their book and I've read it and I've been like, you know what? This is really good. And then I mention it and share it and whatever. You can invite me to be a guest on your podcast or whatever you do, interview me in your newsletter. Just like I was talking about creating that showcase, an easy way to get me or other people to do it. You can mention me or my work in your newsletter, your blog post, your podcast, your video. People do that all the time and I wind up sharing it if they let me know. You can post on social a testimonial about something I do and or recommend it to people. There's so many little things. You have that list and you're like, oh, I've started following this woman and she posts amazing stuff. She's probably going to share that. She might not, but she might comment on it. She might whatever. Like those little things versus what most people do, which is like, wow, I saw this amazing thing and I'll just keep that to myself. It's like just mentioning it and telling the people can create those opportunities. And then the last one, which is a paid one, is you can buy an ad in my newsletter, which works really well. Again, costs a little. Right now they're $350, but you can get in front of 30,000 people and whatever. So there are paid things, but even setting that one aside, if someone wants to reach creative entrepreneurs, I have a pretty large audience of them and there's 9 things you can do to get in front of them that aren't going to cost you anything and don't really cost that much work. And those 9 things you could do with just about anyone whose audience you wanted to get in front. Like those are pretty much applicable to everyone. It won't always work. Some people are more likely to share than others, whatever, but it works. It works more than you think.